Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kristin, and we're presenting Quechua. In the early 1500s, the Spanish settled in Peru, where they met the Incas. The Incas fought to keep their land, but in the end lost to Spain. Spain took over, and their cultures merged to form the Quechuas. After that, the Quechuas settled in Bolivia, Chile, and Ecuador, where they still reside today. Here on the map, you can see how they started off in Spain and just gradually made their way over to Peru. And then from Peru, they ended up breaking off into Ecuador, Bolivia, and Chile, where they are today.
Their language. Peru has recognized Quechua as a national language. By looking at this map, you can see that Peru has a lot of Quechua influence. So all of this light purple is where Quechua is mostly spoken, so you can see that they have really taken over Peru, where they are now. Most of the total population of Quechua are located along the Andes Mountains. Some live on the steep slopes and others in big valleys. So here on this map, you can kind of get an idea of how big the Andes Mountains are. Pretty much takes up the whole western coast of South America. And on this map, you can see the demographics of parts of the Andes Mountains where most of the Quechuans live now. So most live on these steep ridges, and then all their farming is done in the valley in between them.
Their environment. Like Sarah said, the mountain valleys is one place where they live, and in the mountain valleys they have rich soil, they have access to water where they can farm. But however, most of the Quechuas live in the Stark region, which is located on the steep slopes of the central Andes. Those who live here are affected by poor soil, strong winds, and cold weather. Here you can see the steep conditions that most live in. Having these steep conditions makes it very hard and dangerous not only to travel but to farm as well.
Quechua's current population is about 7.5 million. Their healthcare is extremely poor, so there's a high death rate. The reason why their healthcare is extremely poor is because most of the culture practices witch doctor, so they don't have modern medicine and doctors like we do in America. And because of that, their population is rapidly declining due to lack of resources also, so there also is a very low birth rate. And their literacy rate is low because students are only required to go to school until the age of 16. Most after the age of 16 drop out of school and help the family farm, or whatever jobs need to be done to provide income to the family.
Their culture. They believe that some supernatural forces govern their everyday events, such as like if they get sick or whatnot, they believe that their environment can either help them get better or is the reason why they are sick. Their dominant religion is Catholicism, though they still believe that supernatural forces and witch doctors for healing. They celebrate some common holidays that we do, such as Christmas and Easter. The Incas In the Inca capital, the Inca Sun Festival is still celebrated. Here are a couple pictures that show what the Sun Festival is like. As you can see in these photos, they are all in very traditional Inca clothing, and it's a giant festival in which a bunch of people are here to celebrate what they believe in, and they do traditional dances, and they're ultimately just around a bunch of people who believe the same stuff that they do and want to celebrate their culture. Another big part of their culture is what's considered courtship and marriage. And this is a lengthy process that starts with the youth meeting at a community festival. These community festivals happen multiple times during the year. When the young couple has decided that they are ready to consider marriage, the family of the groom, but the groom stays at home, they'll visit the family of the bride. The families will discuss wedding plans as well as what each family will donate to the newlyweds. The couple's engagement is made official at a later date, when the bride and groom exchange rosaries. At the wedding, there is a public procession as the bride leaves her home and joins her husband's community.
For geopolitics. Since there are so many Quechuans taking over Peru and their border countries, they are trying to form their own nation state. Though they still have an empire like the Incas, so they still have kept their traditional government. Since Quechuans are starting to die off due to their lack of resources, Peru's government has been trying to preserve Quechuans to its best to keep their culture alive. So like Quechuans want to become their own nation state, Peru also attained their independence from Spain in 1821. So that's what Quechuans pretty much are. They're an influence of both Spain and the Incas. Like I said earlier, in 1975, military government of General Velasco made Quechua an official language, and that's just also part of Peru trying to help preserve the Quechuans' culture. And also for education, now the Ministry of Education in Cusco is trying to start a program in primary education called bilingual and bicultural. Since there are so many cultural differences, it's very hard for students to learn and speak and be able to read all the different languages and be able to be themselves in their culture and not be influenced by other cultures.
Their economy. Their economy is underdeveloped, primarily because they rely a lot on subsistence farming. That's the way that a lot of the Quechuans make their money. The primary things that they farm are corn, potatoes, and grains. Trade is highly developed between different villages in this region. Their economy has struggled due to hyperinflation, poor government, and terrorism. Here you can see some traditional markets where many come to sell and trade crops, clothes, and other livestock. These are very similar markets to what we consider like a flea market in the US, where you can find all kinds of things such as like clothes and, like I said, crops and livestock. It's a good way for them to make some smaller amounts of money that they can still try to better their family.
So that was just a little video showing y'all of what the Quechuans are today. You can see their environment and steep slopes, and also just a fun fact, they were the first ones to name llamas, so that's how we have the word llama, since we saw the llamas on the hillside. It also shows just like pictures of like their clothing and just what they look like and how they travel and stuff. So all in all, since Spain came over to South America to the high Andes Mountains, the Quechua have been struggling to survive and grow. Though with some help from Peru, they are starting to make progress. With education bills and their language becoming recognized and taught, Quechua culture is being preserved.